At the Ukan manor named Ukan, the butler informs Yariel that Deculane is headed to the auction of Shatzenjewel, and he should have reached there by now. Yariel shouts, saying that her brother blew 10 million eln just last year. What kind of disaster is he planning to cause this year, she wonders. She states that she won't forgive him if he causes more problems. Meanwhile, Deculane is walking in the hallway of the city of Luton Shatzenjewel auction. He thinks he will finally be able to buy something he has been searching for. During his first time using telekinesis as his main magic, he realized he needed some metal to compensate for his lack of talent. The cherished item he has on him right now is made of wood steel, but this is just a temporary patch. What he really needs will be available in the auction today. He enters the VIP waiting room, but he didn't expect to meet Julie here. Upon seeing Deculane, Julie stands and comes near him. She has a cold look in her eyes. She says that she hopes he has been well. She says that she heard that he sent 2 young mages to the disciplinary committee this time. Deculane replies, saying that it's old news and what about it. He asks Julie whether she will attempt to blame that on him as well. Julie says that those kids are newly appointed debutantes, so he shouldn't intend to crush the dreams of rookies with despair, or else his sins will come back to haunt him one day. She tells him not to make the same mistakes he did in the past. Lastly, she says that this is the last piece of advice she can offer to him. Deculane perceives that by saying, "the last advice," she intends to cut off the relationship she's had with Deculane, and these are Julie's final words for him. This is actually good for Wu Jin, since he feels the same as well. No matter how beautiful she is, he doesn't want to marry, something he hasn't even done in his real life. Over something so fickle and around her, there are too many death variables, including herself. If he messes up, he could even die on the day of their marriage, so it's better to break this relationship now. Another thought comes into his mind. The Julie he knows isn't the type of person to attend an auction. So why is she here, he thinks. He asks, did she come all the way to the auction to tell him that? Immediately, she gets flustered. She blabbers, saying that he is so full of himself. There's no way she would come to just look for him. She just came here because she needed something, and she mean it. She shouts that she is really looking for something. Deculane tells her to calm down. He says that he can understand if she says it just once. She doesn't need to repeat it. She pouts for a moment, and then starts to leave. For the first time, Wu Jin finds her countenance rather cute, because he hasn't seen her making her face like that before. In the next moment, he is shocked. Wait, what's this emotion that I'm feeling? He wonders, because he was just thinking of how dangerous it would be to be around her. He perceives that maybe he has being infected with Deculane's emotions. Although he has been careful of keeping his personality from being corrupted, he thinks that maybe he is overthinking things since it's not as if his heart begins to race when he sees Julie. Then, we get an announcement that the auction will soon begin. The auction starts with the presentation of the first item, vase from the east. The auctioneer tells the guests to be sure to witness its elegant curves, made by an artisan who's in the far east. Deculane, due to his skill, comprehension the light, which is something he saw when he checked Epharine's papers. Its wealthy magnate, moreover, he notices that the light just gets stronger and stronger. If that's the case, he should take this, no matter what. In the meantime, the bidding is going on. Guest number 773 starts the bid with 700,000 elni. The price is going higher and higher. Lastly, guest number 777, which is Deculane, claims the vase with 2,500,000 elni. The vase never lost its light despite climbing so high in price. That means the vase has a higher value than that. He thinks that he has enough in the bank, so it might not be bad to invest the rest. His current balance is 205,238.39 LNA. He starts to buy things without mercy. The auctioneer makes many announcements that the Rooferin's ring has been sold to guest 777 for 3 million line. Lucho's scissors has been sold for 2.1 million line to guest 7077. Ancient rune necklace has also been sold for 4.3 million eln to guest 777, and this time as well, guest 777 takes an item for 5.5 million eln. The other guest didn't get the chance to buy things from him, and some even recognized him as the professor. Julie, on the other hand, thinks that Deculin is doing these things for getting attention even in a place like this, like a pathetic man. She thinks that he's too different from her. She can't believe he would waste so much money for a moment of vanity. She doesn't understand why he doesn't appreciate the beauty of humility and modesty. Well, she decides to let him be like himself. She has come here just to obtain Winter's fire. Next up, the auctioneers present the final item of today's auction. He says that many search for it, but it's an item that's near impossible to find. It's an ore used to forge countless fine swords in the history of the Empire. The magic of nature, Winter's fire. It's none other than the Snowflare stone. It's one of the 10 rarest metals in this world. It's typically used to forge swords or other weapons. Like its name, it's a rare and paradoxical item that holds both heat and cold energies. The only items superior to forged swords are legendary items like dragon bones. In other words, people will die to get their hands on it. Deculin thinks that the Snowflare stone is effectively the best ingredient he can get. Julie also wants this to hers. The bidding starts. Directly from 10 million, it rises up to 25 million. Guest number 1089, which is Julie, she bids 30 million. There are no other bidders. The item is about to go in her hands. She smiles, thinking that she got this. But at that moment, guest number 777 bids 31 million elni. She has heard the same number get called so many times today that she can't ignore what he is doing. She angrily thinks, why is Deculin doing this? Both of them, again, try to take the Snowflare by increasing the bidding. Meanwhile, the other guest sitting near Deculin starts to gossip. He's trying to purchase the Snowflare stone that's used to craft swords. It must be so he can gift it to his fiancée, right? One of the guests asks. The guest deliberately speaks up in front of Deculin, saying if Deculin wishes to gift it to her, he could have just allowed her to buy it, but he is doing this instead, must means that he definitely loves her deeply. Deculin, on the other hand, just realized that he has been competing with Julie. He guesses that the Snowflare stone is something Julie would be interested in as well. If he takes this, she might seriously hold a grudge against him, but he needs it too. This is the first time it's been available in 3 years, and who knows when it'll be available again. He might be at risk, but for his cherished item, he must obtain the Snowflare stone. After bidding for a moment, lastly, Deculin claims the Snowflare stone with 42 million ilni. Everyone says that this auction has to be the most competitive auction ever. Meanwhile, Julie is hearing everything while sitting on her chair. She is enraged, thinking that once again they are repeating the last year. She never wanted something like that. Last year, she remembers that the day of their engagement was the worst day of her life. Deculin said that he can give this all to her if she wants, even more if she would like. He said that he can do anything for her. At that moment, Julie realized what Deculin meant by those words. This should entice you to get engaged to me. This is how great I am. That's what he was saying to her looked like. In front of all the riches he showed her, she only felt humiliation. She says that he already knows what it is that she really wants from him, but he wouldn't give in. So she left that room and ruined her own engagement. However, that wasn't the end. Many unwanted rumors started appearing. People said that the Julie they know was so dignified, but in the end, she fell for Deculin. They heard that she was promised a captain knight position in Ukan's knight order in return. They even said that she begged for it. It was obvious who spread the rumors that sullied her image. Does he think I'll return to him if he does something like this? She thought angrily. She calls Dekulin a fool for acting like this. He is someone whom she can't love no matter how hard she tries. As she is about to stand from her chair, she sees that Dekulin is already in front of her. Did you also want the Snowflare stone? He asks. Julie is thinking that she can't bear this humiliation anymore and is about to speak up, but before that, Dekulin states that he is sorry. That shocked Julie for a moment, and in the meantime, Dekulin leaves the area. This incident got her into thinking for what Dekulin is sorry for winning the Snowflare perhaps, but the Dekulin she knows would never apologize. She gets out of the auction, and she is greeted by a lady named Josephine, who is the eldest daughter of the Frieden household. In other words, Julie's sister, who tells her to get in. Inside the car, Dekulin assumes that Julie wanted to keep the Snowflare stone for herself. She's probably mad that he bought it instead, but it's unexpected that the death variable didn't appear. He enters his mansion, thinking how much of a scumbag was Dekulin for her to murder him. Then, he notices that servants' expressions are rather terrified and worried than calm. So, he asked whether something happened while he was out. They inform him that Miss Yeriel is here. He walks near her. Yeriel speaks up that the money he used was supposed to pay for the mines. Is this what you took it for? She asks. He thinks that no wonder her personal account had so much money. He realizes that he didn't pay enough attention, but he tells her not to worry, since he bought something that will bring in profits. Yeriel shouts out of frustration, saying that he is treating her like a garbage can. Do you think I meant to clean up after the messes you make? She asks while crying painfully. Dekulin senses that the situation is getting worse for him. She tells him that they are already not doing too well financially, and the workers here and she are all working so hard to try and keep them afloat. But amidst of all, he just went ahead and spent all of that money without thinking for a second. Just what kind of piece of shit do you have to be to gamble with the money that belongs to the estate? She asks angrily. The villain's fate is being activated, but Dekulin sees the golden light through her red aura, which shows wealthy magnate is being activated too. The meaning of that is simple. If he doesn't get through this situation, he will die, but if I does get out of it, it'll bring in a lot of money. He knows the answer to this problem. He tells her again not to worry. Yeriel says that she isn't worried, she just doesn't like to work hard to make up for what he has done. She says that she doesn't want to do it. She states that she even gave up on university and didn't even get to date because of Dekulin. Dekulin replies that she doesn't need to do it. After hearing it, she again burst out saying that if she doesn't do it, who will? Since Dekulin has done nothing but waste their money ever since their parents passed away, and now he has used up 150 million elni in one day. Dekulin says that he will give her the household head position. Yeriel gets puzzled. She asks what he is talking about. Dekulin again says that he said he will give her sister, Yeriel, the household head position. After understanding it, she gets surprised and tells him to cut the bullshit. Dekulin says that that's no way for a noble to talk, especially a household head. She tells him not to lie, and he replies that he doesn't lie. He says that he can swear if she doesn't trust him. Swear? You mean like the mage's oath? The one that kills you if you break it? Are you serious? Yeriel asks. He replies, saying yes. All this, all of a sudden, doesn't make any sense to her, so she asks whether he has hid his head somewhere. Dekulin tells her that she doesn't have to believe him if she doesn't want to. Yeriel says that she is gonna kill him if he goes back on his word. Dekulin asks whether does she intends on leaving right away. She replies, saying, of course because of somebody here who wasted all their money at the auction, so she has to do something about it. With this, he overcame another death variable, and his store currency increases by 2. For him, it feels like a storm has passed by. He is relieved that at least nothing bad happened. He thinks that there's no problem in handing over the position to her, and if he keeps changing things one by one like this, he might be able to escape this cursed fate of his. At that moment, Ganesha appears out of nowhere. She says that now she sees that Deculayan really meant it when he said he is going to change. Deculayan asks what is she doing here, as an unwanted guest. Ganesha says that she is sorry, she was just dropping by, but what she saw was too shocking for her to leave. He says that there is nothing to be shocked about, since she already knows Yariel will do a much better job, being the household head than him. Ganesha says that she knows it, but still, Yariel von Grahan Uklain doesn't have a single drop of Uklain blood at all. These words terrifyingly astonishes him. What is she talking about? He wonders because he doesn't remember this being in the game. Yariel is set to be a half-sister. He was already aware that she wasn't Deculian's biological sister. However, she doesn't share even a single drop of blood with the Uklains. He has never heard anything about this. Is this really all right, giving Yariel that head position? Moreover, to begin with, Deculayan was the one that requested this of them, to determine whether he and his sister have any blood relations. She says that she is sure that they discussed about this beforehand. Deculain replies, saying that even so Yariel is just Yariel, so he would give her the position she deserves. Ganesha says that he is surprising her quite a lot today. She didn't even think he would say something like that. Woojin thinks that he could say the same, because he didn't know this kind of background existed. Ganesha says that she will make sure to protect the secret regarding his sister, and before going she gives information about 6 snakeheads. She has heard that the 6 snakeheads have begun to move. The 6 snakeheads are the leaders of infamous criminal organizations within this continent. Their notoriety is at a level such that each one of them has a bounty on their heads worth several million. She informs that they're after the items bought from the auction house. Even if the auction house manages to deliver them safely, she advises that he has to keep his guard up the moment they arrive at his residence. Lastly, she says that it feels like he has been neglecting magical defenses a lot recently. That's why she can get in so easily, too. So he must be concerned about it. After her departures, he thinks that the information was something he didn't need to know. Knowing it changes nothing. Because from the beginning, he is not Deculian. His treatment of Yariel wouldn't change whether she's his biological sister or not. Yariel will always be Deculian's sister, so he decides to just hide the truth. After some time, Ganesha meets her team. Near the campfire, she started telling the story of what interesting thing happened today. She tells everyone that it's true, that Professor Deculayan has changed a lot. It's almost like another person's wearing his skin. He's completely different now. She says that even that scum looks different now that he's saying such sweet things. A boy, who is a member, tells his captain that she is a type of person who fawns over handsome men, so she would like him regardless of what he says. Ganesha tells him, then she should just tear him apart since he is not that good-looking. He informs that his grandma said he is handsome, though. She replies that some good-looking guy was walking behind him then. Rayleigh, who is also a member of the Red Garnet adventure team, but she is also Julie's relative. You're saying Deculian has a human side to him now? She asks. Ganesha says that. Anyway, they won't have to watch Deculian anymore. She wanted to ask him if he's still looking for a magic slave, but it didn't seem like it at all. She says that they should now head back, but before leaving, he tells them to keep everything they heard today a secret, and they better keep quiet about all of this. Then they leave using a teleportation magic. The next day, at the University Magic Tower, Deculian will finally be able to use the system store. But he still doesn't have enough currency to actually buy anything he needs. System Store allows one to use store currency to strengthen his characters, as he can improve not just his player character, but also any named characters using the store. There are only a few opportunities to be able to use the system store. He will only have 6 chances by the end of the second half. The reason is because while he can only use the store once per level, every time his level goes up, the amount he needs to spend will increase by a factor of 2. Deculayan realizes that he can't rush and waste this valuable opportunity. He is consistently training memorization, physical training, QI-controlled levitating blades, and so on be integrating them in his routine. But he is still lacking in combat strength, compared to infamous named villains. For the sake of his growth, what he needs now is improvements in mana quality. He will have to hurry up and gather the 4-store currency he needs. At that moment, he hears someone knocking at the door. He gives his permission to enter. His subordinate, Alan, enters, greeting him. Alan tells the professor to look into the newspaper that he received just now. He says that he thinks the professor needs to be careful because this was published in today's issue of Wizard Journal. It is a wanted journal about Lockhart. It says that there have been their eyewitness reports of wizard killer Lockhart and tells the wizards to avoid going outside. He thinks that Lockhart is the greatest danger to mage players in the first quarter of the game. But this guy has already started appearing. Of course, if he were a normal mage, Lockhart would pose a danger to him, but as he is now, he has no cause for concern. In fact, this might rather prove an opportunity to earn store currency, so he hopes he end up bumping into the wizard killer. He tells Alan that there's no need to worry about a wizard killer. And now he will be heading to the library, so Alan should head back as well. He was about to leave, but he remembers something important and halts. Alan, do you have any intentions to become an assistant professor? He asks. Alan replies saying, of course, without thinking the gravity of the words, but after realizing he screams the hell out of his mouth. He asks why Professor Deculayan is suddenly saying this when he always told Alan that he lacks talent. Deculayan states that he is asking now that he has seen how earnest Alan is. He thinks that, though it's really only because he received a notice telling him to pick an assistant professor. Without further delay, he tells Alan to stop asking questions and gives him a bangle with the Ukan emblem engraved on it. He tells Alan to continue to work hard. After receiving it, Alan says thank you to the professor and cries tears of joy. Deculayan thinks that Alan's ability to organize documents and perform miscellaneous errands is excellent. He'll be useful, so Deculayan can't let him escape, since all those that begrudged Deculayan's cruelty couldn't bear it and left. Yet Alan has been doing all kinds of work by himself. So who knows when he might run away too? He gives his assistant some money telling him to turn in early for today and buy dinner with this. Alan is about to say that this is too much, but Deculayan doesn't listen and just leaves. He enters into the library where only the staff are allowed. The reason he came to the library was because of Luna's paper. The paper he found in the laboratory was on the invention of pure elements. However, there were too many errors and holes, so he intends to make up for them. After entering, he sees someone who shouldn't be there. "Why are you inside the staff-only library, debutante Sylvia?" he asks. 10 minutes ago, Sylvia asked permission of Professor Relin to enter the library. The professor replied that there is no need to restrict the successor of Elaide and this year's rookie mage from entering the staff-only library if it is for study purposes. The manager tells her to use to it leisurely. Sylvia's hobby is to study literatures and languages. She had come all the way to the executive reading room to find a material that met both criteria simultaneously. The novel she found was written in none other than Ethanel. With the disappearance of the fairies, its value has increased, making Ethanel novels increasingly rare. Ethanel is the language of the fairies. This is the reason why Sylvia visited the executive reading room, which she usually wouldn't have access to. And of course, she didn't think she'd run into Deculayan in this place. Deculayan asks her, Whether does she wants the disciplinary committee to convene again? On the contrary, Sylvia is thinking why Deculaeon is here because she clearly remembers hearing that he doesn't even go near the library. Sylvia says that she is here because she is looking for a certain document, and she has already gotten permission from Professor Relin. Professor Deculaeon replies that it would mean that Professor Relin ignored the school regulations and the librarian condoned it. In that case, they also deserve to be disciplined. Then he sees the novel Sylvia has in her hands. An Ethanel novel, Your purpose in going against the regulation was to find a romance novel written in Ethanel? He asks. Sylvia first of all asks, how can he read the Ethanel language? Then she realizes that it's not the important. She explains that she was reading it because of her interest in literatures and languages. Deculaeon gives the novel back to her, while saying that he will let it slide this time. However, if she comes here again without proper permission, he will take disciplinary measures. So unless her goal is to flaunt her family's influence, he advises her to send someone else to borrow a book. After his departure, Sylvia thinks that she got humiliated. She just wanted to understand the fairies through novels written in Ethanel. But then she wonders how can the professor read Ethanel since it is a language that lacks consistency, making it difficult to read. Then, the first practical training in the Mountain of Darkness starts. One of the professor, behind Deculaeon, tells Professor Relin that everyone seems composed. Although it's their first practical training, he guesses they're not afraid of the Mountain of Darkness. Relin replies, saying that the training would have to stop by the night, but still he is proud of the students. The Mountain of Darkness is located a bit away from the university grounds. This mountain is a place of considerable significance and strict security for the Magic Tower. The forest serves as both a training ground for real experience and a rich repository of magical materials. Because of this, the danger posed by beasts and venomous creatures is high, prompting the Magic Tower to enforce multiple protective barriers and ensure patrols by an on-duty professor. Professor Relin tells Head Professor Deculaeon that the on-duty professor for this week has not been decided yet, so they need to appoint someone new and asks for his suggestion. Deculaeon says that he will do it. The professor praises Deculaeon by saying that it is expected from the head professor. Seeing him take the lead by example truly makes him the epitome of what a professor should be. Deculaeon thinks that he is doing this not for a noble reason like that, but because of something is pulling him from there. He concludes that it must be why he was just given a side quest. What is about to happen in the mountain that turns this game into the horror genre at night, he wonders. 9 hours later at a cafe near the Magic Tower, Ephorine is giving the commoners a treat. She tells them to dig in, thinking that she now has 100,000 elni. Julie informs them that she has already submitted the club establishment plan, so it should be approved soon. So they should consider this their first gathering in advance. Another member worries that there are not many people signing in their club, so he wishes that other people doesn't hesitate too much to join. Julie tells him not to worry. As long as they run the club well, people will eventually join. She says that she heard there was a training session at the Mountain of Darkness earlier today. Luna relies while drooling over the desert, saying, "Yeah, 50 people volunteered for it, even though accidents happen there from time to time." Suddenly, they hear a loud noise. All of them run outside in order to check where the sound came from. Julie points at the direction from which the sound came and they run towards that way. As they are moving, they hear someone shouting for help. Ephorine rushes forward, even though hearing Julie's warning that something is wrong up ahead. By the time she halts and looks back, she has already lost them. She is teleported to an unknown place which she doesn't know about. She wonders, where is this place, as she was just running at the cafe street? She again hears someone calling for help. This time, Luna asks them where they are, since she is coming to help. The voice guides her, telling her which way they are. She goes there and sees a woman. As she is about to reach near her, the woman gets attacked, and she shouts in pain. Upon seeing that someone is attacking, she immediately gets ready to counterattack, but then she sees that the person who was attacking is none other than the head, Professor Decollane. Ephraim asks Decollane how can he attack an innocent civilian. Decollane tells her to open her eyes and see again, since the creature in front of them is not a person. "What is that?" Luna questions. Decollane replies that it seems she was under the effect of an illusion, something that demons do. He tells her not to interfere and get lost, while throwing her outside himself. Now that he has ensured Luna's safety, it's time for him to hunt. He notices that the demon is furious because it just lost its prey. He immediately starts attacking it. Looking at the core on its forehead, he predicts that its specialty must be illusions. Thanks to his resolute, which resists mental attacks, however, it's ineffective against him. He feels that his blood is boiling. He realizes that Deculian's lineage is making him endlessly furious. Deculian has an attribute named Ukan, which is also due to his lineage. It's a lineage with exceptional power in subjugating the demons. When facing demons or in areas with high concentrations of demonic energy, he can purify the surrounding mana using their own mana and utilize it. The purified mana increases in quality by 1 rank. However, as a result, he will become more aggressive. Hostility toward demons will increase. It's a renowned legacy of the Ukalanes, known for hunting demons since ancient times. It is now manifesting in Deculian as well. So he will never let the demon before him survive. This rage he is feeling right now. Due to it, he mercilessly finishes off the demon. After killing it, he calls the creature filthy for spilling filth, even at the moment of its dead. He thinks that this appearance of the demon signals the real start of things. It's a signal that indicates the start of the game without the player. In the next scene, Luna suddenly wakes up in the clinic. She is confused, so she asked what is she doing here because she clearly remembers she was in the woods. The lady explains that Luna must not remember anything because last night, a demon appeared in the mountain of darkness. She was under that demon's bewitchment and passed out. Later, she was found and moved to the clinic. Furthermore, she informs that the mountain of darkness was shut down because of that demon, and the magic tower is investigating the whole thing at the moment. She also mentions that Professor Decollane was the one who saved Lena. Ephraim clenches her teeth, thinking that she was saved by that person again, whom she resents. Then she asks what day is today. The lady says that it's been 36 hours since Luna got here, so it's Wednesday. After hearing it, Luna screams, saying that she is late and quickly runs towards her classroom. She barely made it. Julia waves her hand, telling Luna to come here. Julia mentions that she went to see Luna at the clinic, but she wasn't awake and asks about her health. Ephraim replies that she is all right. In fact, she is in the best condition possible because of all the sleep she got. But what's all this? Was there a notice I missed about today's class? She asks. Julia replies that she also doesn't know. It was just like this when she got here. She says that there must be some sort of special lesson today. At that time, Decollane, along with his assistant, enters the classroom. Who's that with Decollane? Luna wonders. Decollane says that there's an announcement he has to make before he starts the lecture. He introduces Alan and informs that Alan will be his teaching assistant. After hearing the announcement, many students started gossiping. One of the students says that she thought Professor Deculian preferred to teach alone. Another student replies, saying, yeah. She heard that Professor Deculian had never had a teaching assistant. They also say that if someone become a teaching assistant, he can build his resume through the professor evaluations, and there's no way Professor Deculian would just let that happen. Meanwhile, hearing all of these, Luna says that all of them are true, since it was also why her father was a researcher at 30 years old. He wasn't able to become a teaching assistant. So why did Deculian suddenly take in a mage she has never seen before as one? She wonders. Deculian announces that today's lecture will be on learning by experience. He tells them to try to solve the task given to them in 3 hours, and Alan provides them with the timer. Looking at the bracket, she says that it's her dad's inheritance. She always asked herself whenever she looked at it, which had now become her vessel, who was her father to Deculian? Why Deculian did not give her father even a chance? And why is he doing all these nice things now? Countlessly questions appears in her mind, which are eating her from the inside. She knows that she needs to finish her task, and she needs to think of a spell quickly. But her mind is filled with all different kinds of thoughts that she can't even concentrate. Suddenly, she hears a voice saying that, 25 minutes and 15 seconds, I'm done. She looks back and sees that it's Slivia. Deculian goes to check, and his cold glare startled Sylvia for a moment, but Deculian gives her permission to leave, since her work is perfect. Sylvia stands up with confidence and looks at Luna, as if she is looking at a peasant, and it makes Luna extremely angry. She thinks that she needs to do this task quickly too. But as time passed, other students consists of Julia, Lehin, Rotan, leave the classroom. One by one, every student leaves, until there is only one student left. Luna realizes that she is done for. She bangs her head into the table countless times, wanting to think of something. Not only did she not do better than that damned Sylvia, she was the only one who failed to do anything until the end of class. Why am I like this? Am I really so stupid that I can't even do something as simple as this? She thinks. She says that she just didn't know better. She can't even think of revenge now. She didn't even deserve to go to the academy, and she can't compete at all. 5 hours and 47 minutes. How long do you intend on making me wait? Deculian speaks up. Luna gets shocked to see that he is still here. He mentions that Luna had a breakdown over an easy assignment and couldn't finish it in time. She says sorry, since she can't say anything. Deculian tells her that even if someone laughs at her, even if someone is ahead of her, even if the person she resents is right in front of her, she must be cold and logical at all times. He says that she will never get to his level with such a weak mind. Lastly, he says that he is disappointed with her since he thought she was better than that. With saying this, he leaves or pretends to leave. After Deculian's departure, Luna looks down for a moment, but she sits in the chair, slamming the table with a determined look, remembering the things she had to listen due to her shortcoming. She says that she can do this, even if someone like Deculian isn't disappointed in her. She again repeats that she will do it, no matter what it takes. Deculian spent 6 hours on Luna, and he thinks it's worth it, as this is a necessary investment. Because of what happened, a stronger Luna will be necessary. The appearance of the demon in the dark mountain made Deculian realize that the main event will start soon. When the era of overflowing evil arrives, a named individual who can exert positive influence on the main quest will be crucial, and one of them is a fully developed Luna. Right now, Luna lacks the mentality and awareness of a true magician, but if she overcomes this, the growth will be overwhelming. But that growth might become a threat to Deculian, and he simply won't let that happen. Fate is nothing more than faith for those who do not strive. The only thing Deculian believes in is himself. Deculian's personality would never allow himself to be caught up by a mere debutante. At that time, Luna comes out of the room and directly walks away. Deculian gets inside and sees the flower glowing golden. He stares and says that it took 6 hours and 25 minutes to complete the task. He then writes the report saying that Luna completed her work at the last, but the quality of her results are enough to make her compete for the first place. The side quest is completed, and Deculian received 1 store currency. As Luna left, Deculian also decides to go to his mansion. On his way to the mansion, Zeit stops him and greets him, which makes Deculian as bit nervous. Zeit von Bruggen-Frieden, he is the current head of the Frieden family, Julie's older brother, as well as the one who strongly pushed for Deculian and Julie's betrothal, and most importantly, he is above Ganesha in initial combat strength as 3rd place. He is a named character who is famous for his tremendous combat strength. Deculian is nervous as he can't fathom why Zeit is looking for him. The only guess he makes that Zeit has come here because he took the Snowflare stone from Julie. And if that's the case, a death variable might arise, and Deculian has no countermeasures against this monster. Zeit talks with a smile and says that he was worried when he heard that Deculian and Julie's relationship is not going well, and to fix this he has come here to invite Deculian on dinner in this week. As Zeit seems in a light mood, Deculian agrees to attend the dinner. Zeit taps his shoulder and says that he likes that how quickly Deculian make the decision. He gives an intimidating look and says that they will meet at the dinner and leaves. Deculian gets that Zeit wouldn't take it well if he refused it. Zeit holds his household above all else, and who knows what would happen if he was to interfere with Zeit's plans. The next day, Zeit goes to Luna and tells her about this meeting. Luna gets mad and says that they both hate each other and don't disturb her any further as she is busy with her night training. Zeit asked her if she is sulking just because Deculian took the Snowflare stone from her. Luna replies that that's not the case, and the two of them starts to argue, and man with long black hair sees them arguing. Zeit tells Luna that Deculian purchased the stone so that he can make a sword with that and give it as a present to her. Hearing this, Luna gets mad and says that she will immediately break the marriage if that happened. Zeit gets angry hearing this. He radiates his aura and tells Luna to think carefully. He further says that he explained her this the other day, that there is no emotion in politics. Zeit then asked her if she has someone she has taken a linking. Seeing her brother getting angry, Luna controls her anger and replies that she has no one to her liking. Zeit again asked her that if she is concerned about the rumors about Deculian. Luna replies that doesn't bother her. Listening this, Zeit tells her to come to the dinner on time, and if there is any misunderstanding, they will solve it there. Saying this, he leaves. Luna is furious, and she takes her sword and swings it vigorous to vent her anger. The black-haired man then comes closer to her and says that she seems troubled. The man's name is Veron, and he is a subordinate of Luna. Luna apologizes to him for showing this disgraceful side of her. Veron says that there is nothing to apologize for as he understands it. Veron tells her that Deculian is not the right man for her, and he also rebels against Zeit, who is pushing this marriage. Luna tells her to stop and says not to speak ill words behind someone's back, and this doesn't suit a knight. Veron stops and lowers his head. Luna looks at Veron and smiles and tells him not to dirty his hand because of her, as she is fine. Veron stares at her and says nothing. She then tells him to get ready as she will be heading back. As Luna walks away, Veron thinks that he has finally found the answer to this anguish and suffering. He has found a way to prove his loyalty as her vassal, and it is something that only he can do. He is determined to go any length for the happiness of his liege. Later at the nighttime, we can see the Bercht Elder Hall. The elders gathered there, and they talked about the demon that appeared on the Dark Mountain. From the beginning, magic is created as a secret art to eradicate demons. And since a demon has appeared, the elders can't slide this matter away. The elders come to a decision. They orders they envy to send message to the 12 houses of magic and tells them to respond to the Bercht summon. The scene shifts, and we can see Deculian's house. He has stored all the items that he has bought at the auction. He kept 2 items with him. One is the Luperin's ring, which helps with mana recovery, and the ancient rune necklace, which can store mana. The rest of the items will be stored in the vault as Ganesha advised. However, there is a problem. The most important item, the Snowflare stone, is not cooperating. Deculion didn't expect to handle the snowstone right away, but no matter how much psychokinesis he uses, it won't budge at all. The snowstone's mana is resisting his magic. In the game, it was too expensive to even look at, so he has no idea what to do. Even if he force a reforging, he can't even use psychokinesis on it. A passage he read in the library last time. A legendary sword requires a process of taming. That process is called resonance. Deculion wonders if that means he has to understand the sword itself. He then decides to use comprehension on the stone. He puts his hand on the stone and uses his ability. All of his mana is sucked instantly, so he stops. He used 2,000 mana and only understand 0.1% of it. He is worried, as if this goes on, he will take at least a year to fully understand it. However, for now, this is the best method he can devise. After that, he moves on and starts to get ready for the dinner meeting. He looks at the calendar and sees that there are 2 markings. One marking is for today, the meeting with Zeti, and the other marking has been made before he reincarnated. It is 3 days from now, and there's a short note that this is a Memorial Day. Later, Deculion goes to Restaurant von Meschel to attend the dinner. Zeti and Deculion walks in the restaurant, and Zeti thanks him for coming. As they enters the room, they sees that Julie is already there. Julie is dressed beautifully, and Deculion's face turns red seeing her. After that, everyone take their seats. Deculion didn't expect that Julie would be so beautiful when dressed properly. A voice comes, which says she has put a lot of effort in Julie's dress. Deculion gets nervous as he didn't expect that Josephine would be here. Right now, she's just acting as the older sister attending her siblings' matchmaking, but Josephine is not just Julie's sister. In fact, to Deculion, she's the most dangerous named character to be wary of, a true sociopath who stops at nothing to achieve her goals, the ruler of the underground intelligence group, shadow that controls the continent from behind the scenes, and a powerhouse on par with Zeit in terms of raw strength. The only person Josephine truly cherishes is Julie. Because of that, touching Julie is like touching her reverse scale. When Deculion sits, he can feel it clearly. The killing intent Josephine is directing at him and the manifestation of villain's fate. The fact that he could sense the killing intent of a sociopath like Josephine means that this death flag is incredibly dangerous. In the end, Deculion must prove his sincerity to Julie to avoid this crisis. As Deculion is lost in his thought, Zeit suggests that they should get to the main point before the food arrives. Zeit says, "Professor Deculion, when shall the wedding take place? It has already been 3 years since your engagement." Hearing this, Julie interrupts, but Zeit stops her, saying that this is a conversation between 2 family elders. Deculion seems nervous. Zeit tells him to be comfortable and speak what's on his mind. Deculion then looks at Josephine and says he will leave this decision entirely to Julie. If she is not certain about this marriage, he is prepared for an annulment. "Oh ho, how can you speak of annulment so lightly? Is it because your relationship has grown distant lately? In that case, you should think about mending your relationship. Annulment is not so simple. The elders of the family would never allow it." Zeit says this to Deculion. At that time, Julie shouts, "My lord, please allow us to be alone for a moment. I ask this of you." Zeit looks at Julie and he decides to let them have a private talk. He tells Josephine to come with him. After that, Zeit and Josephine leaves the room. Now Julie and Deculion is alone. Julie gives a frown looks and asked Deculion, "What are you planning to do this time? Just what do you want?" As Julie asked the question, Deculion guessed that he has to answer correctly as Josephine is hearing everything. She pretended to leave with a smile, but she must have set up a trick to eavesdrop, as there's no way she left just like that, but this is also an opportunity. Josephine doesn't know that Deculion is aware of her. Deculion truly loves Julie. If her can make her believe that, he might be able to avoid this death flag. Deculion now start his talk with Julie. He tells her that what he said is his true feelings. Julie gives an angry look and asks what he means. It's all true feelings. Deculion replies, "As you can see, I cannot dissolve this engagement as I wish. No, rather, there is nothing we can do about this. Things have progressed too far." Julie stomps the table and says, "And so? What dirty method will you use to torment me this time? Before we were engaged, you used your connections to force this engagement. You promised to compensate our family's elders, and you do remember what you said to convince me?" As Deculion is about to say anything, Julie shouts and says, "Fighting is dangerous. Because of that, you forced me to stop pursuing the Imperial Order, and you brazenly suggested that I take up the mantle of Captain of the Order of Hadakane, which is supervised by the Ukan family. And when I refused, you spread all kinds of rumors about me. Just what are you trying to start now?" Deculion knows about all of this. He confused his obsession and manic fixation over keeping her by his side for affection, and he tore down everything around Julie so that she had no choice but to stay. Deculion did unforgivable things. Because of that, he understands Julie's hatred for him more than anyone. Deculion tells Julie that he won't do that anymore. He knows that he has been tying her down. Hearing this, Julie gets shocked and tells him to clarify that he is saying. Deculion makes a sad make and tells her that he is trying to say that he has done wrong with her. Julie is surprised to see that Deculion in admitting his own wrongdoings. Deculion further says that not only him, but her brother and big sister are also extreme. Julie argues with him about this. Deculion then asked her that if that's not the case, so why her family members are trying to stop her annulment. Julie is shocked and don't know what to say. Deculion tells her that her brother is pushing her because of the honor of their family. He cut the stake and says that if she wishes to become a guardian knight, she has to leave her family's grasp. Julie is stunned to hear this. She asks Deculion that how did he know about her dream? Deculion ignores that and says that he is neither honest nor faithful. He is a completely different from the kind of person she wishes for. Julie asked him that what he is saying all of a sudden. She tells him to get to the point. Deculion then says, "For someone like me, there is only one thing I can do for you. We will keep the engagement, but we will not marry. I truly want to set you free, but due to all the political ties, I cannot. Use my name as a shield for as long as you need until you are fully prepared to pursue your dream. I will maintain our engagement and wait." Hearing this, Julie is confused. She asked Deculion that what exactly is he plotting, and why is he saying this now? "I don't expect anything in return, but if I were to ask for something, show me your smile once a month. That is all I ask for." Deculion says this with a grim look. Hearing this, Julie shies, and her face turns red. Josephine also gets uncomfortable hearing this. Deculion just said something that sounded good to avoid the death flag, but seeing Julie flustered by his words is endlessly adorable to him. He has no choice but to admit it now. Even Deculion's love for Julie has become his own. Julie handle herself and so show her dignity. She tells him that she won't fall for it. Josephine, who is hearing their talks, finds the words of Deculion cringe. She wonders if his love for Julie is real. She decides that she will keep an eye of Deculion for a bit longer to be sure if his feelings are really true. The dinner event ended at a good note. Deculion overcomes a death flag and gains 2 store currency. The scene shifts and we can see 3 days later. Deculion is going to the cemetery. Today is the scheduled Memorial Day. A cemetery, just by its nature, brings forth a renewed sense of sentiment between the overgrown weeds, like the sunset light soaking into the cracks of the tombstones. My heart had arrived here long before my body, melting into this place, because my memories are here, not as Deculion, but as Kim Woojin's memories. In past, one night, Woojin's ex-GF Yuara comes to him and tells him that she has added one Easter egg. She says that she thought about adding a setting for Dekulian. He's a mid-boss in our game, so it should fine, and the writer has already agreed to it. Woojin tells her not to do that as this will take a lot of data, and more importantly, the workload of the staff will increase. She tells Woojin that it's important in its own way, and she is trying to put the creator's heart into the game. Seeing that she won't change her mind at all, Woojin tells her to do as she wishes. She tells Woojin that she has a clever idea, and it definitely won't be a waste. She says that Dekulian has a deceased ex-fiancé. Back then, Yuara got all excited saying she had a fun idea. Woojin wonders what was so amusing about it, and what kind of prank did she leave as an Easter egg, and what was it that made her smile so brightly? To revive the memories of Kim Woojin, Dekulian has no choice but to seek out those traces. As Dekulian comes to the cemetery as he stands in front of the grave of his ex-fiancée, he sees that the name written on the tombstone is Woojin's ex-GF Yuara. There is a short note beside the name which says, "The one who will always be grateful to you." Woojin is in wow. He wonders why Yuara has inscribed her name on this tombstone. Dekulian, who was modeled after Kim Woojin. To that Dekulian's deceased fiancé, why did Yuara give her own name? And why, of all things, did she say she were grateful to him? Dekulian kneels down and touches the tombstone. Just a single inscription that alone stirred emotions all throughout his body. It felt like he could hear Yuara's whispering voice, and memories of the past poured out endlessly. The way she shyly smiled while praising his drawings. How she took off her coat for his when he was shivering on a winter night, telling him she loved him as she embraced him, picking him up when he was struggling for 7 long years, the one who was always by his side, his memories of her. As Dekulian is crying, a man with long white hair sees him, and the man is in huge rage. Dekulian finished his crying, and due to his attribute, he quickly regains his composure. In the meantime, the white-haired man gets closer. Dekulian seems to know him. He asks the man if his name is Rockhack. The man is exuding a huge amount of killing intent. The man looks at him with his deathly eyes and asks how he knows his name and how dare is he that as a mage he speaks with him. Wizard Killer Rockhack. This guy is a mid-boss villain specifically for mage players. Rockhack became the nemesis of mages because of his ability, magic nullification. As with any other game, the nullification trait is practically a cheat, and Rockhack's ability requires no special conditions. Regardless of physical contact, no one can use magic within his radius. Rockhack rushed towards Dekulian with a knife and he attacks him. Dekulian backs off to dodge him. But Rockhack didn't stop, and he launched series of attacks, but Dekulian dodges all of them. Rockhack gets frustrated, and he directly jumps towards Dekulian. Dekulian gives a solid punch on his face. Rockhack flies away and lands on the ground. Dekulian gets closer and stomps on him. A few days ago, Dekulian finally saved up over 10 store currency, and he bought mana quality enhancement. It increases the efficiency of mana usage, but more importantly, with the same amount of mana, he can now produce far greater power. Mana Quality Enhancement, Stage 1, applied. With this skill, he can now refine mana more effectively. However, it seems to have had a much broader effect than he expected, after the magic training as Dekulian goes to perform his dolly workout. As he hangs on a bar to do pull-ups, he gets shocked to see that with just a little pressure, the bar bends. The mana quality enhancement has improved his human quality. This is the reason Dekulian is able to defeat Rockhack so easily. Upon crushing Rockhack, Dekulian overcomes a death flag and receives 1 store currency. As Dekulian predicted, the mana quality enhancement also applies to his sab traits. He could have already beaten Rockhack with Iron Body, but with the enhanced trait, it was even easier than he imagined. Rawkak gains his consciousness as he crawls on the ground. He says, "Damn it! I could have finished him. Those rotten mages. Cursed scum, heretics who betrayed God. The floating island, Burkt, and the mage tower are all lunatics, worthless worms who can't do anything without magic." Upon hearing this, Deculion thinks that a unique ability that could be called broken, his intense hatred toward mages and even that word heresy, he links all of this together and asked Rawkak he is from the fallen clan. Rawkak gets surprised to hear this. He asks Deculion that how did he know that? The fallen family, known as the Bloodshroud race, was given its name because they're born covered in blood-red shroud of film. Their bloodline was known to be descended from the demons of ages past. They who live throughout the continent while hiding their identities are opposite beings to the mages. Just as magecraft was created in order to fight demons, the conflict between mages and the Bloodshroud race was a central element in creating the worldview, and one of the main plot lines of this game's story. That's why the Bloodshroud race have their lives endangered simply because of their ancestry. Cleansing could very well be occurring somewhere right at this very moment. Deculion tells Rawkak that he understands him. The ages of oppression and repression he has experienced are truly a shame. But still, if he kills an innocent mage, he would be a monster just like them. Rawkak gets angry and shouts telling Deculion to shut up and just kill him. Deculion tells Rawkak that he knows that the Bloodshroud race is innocent. Rawkak is confused and asked what did he just say. He asked Deculion if he is trying to act pretentious before killing him. Deculion says, "I am Ukan's Deculion." That is the family line of honorable nobles who have not lost their dignity. The only time I've lost dignity is when I faced a demon. The Ukan bloodline who has hunted demons since ancient days starts to burn up like we're seizing when we see demons. This is like an instinct that cannot be overcome. Rawkak, did I lose my dignity and composure in front of you? Or did I waver at your provocations? Did I go berserk as if seizing? You are humans. Hearing the comforting words of Deculion, Rawkak clams down and stares at him. At that moment, some people come rushing towards them. Seeing them, Deculion tells Rawkak to trust him and he knocks him out with a kick. The inspector named Ropa comes there to arrest Rawkak. Seeing Deculion, he salutes him. He praises Deculion for defeating him. Deculion then uses this telekinesis and gathers the surrounding metals, and using them he creates a steel rope. Ropa is in awe to see this. Deculion hands the rope to Ropa and tells him to tie Rawkak with this as he is magic neutral, so magic handcuffs will be useless against him. Deculion then asked Ropa, how did he get here so fast? Was he patrolling near? Ropa answered that he came here after receiving a report. Ropa asked if he wasn't the one who reported. Deculion says he didn't report. He tells Ropa that some nearby person knight have heard the commotion and reported it. As they are talking, a girl hiding behind the tree is hearing their conversation. After that, Deculion tells to handle this here as he will be leaving now. Ropa again salutes him and bids him farewell. As Deculion walks away, he is glad to see that everything concluded without any bloodshed, as he don't want to hurt anyone. Then the next day at Ukan estate in Deculion's training room, his sister comes to him with a letter and give it to him and tells him that for the 1th time in 15 years, a meeting is called in Burkt. Deculion opens the letter and reads, there was recently an incident where a demon appeared at the Mountain of Darkness. As a result of that, Burkt wants to bring you mages and discuss this. As Deculion reads this, a main quest called Burkt Call appears. Deculion then tells his sister that he is allowed to bring one guard with his in this meeting. Hearing this, his sister asked him if she should tell Zeph about this. Deculion says that there is no need for him as he is more familiar with steering. But you can't just go without a guard. I know my stuff. The journey to Burkt is one where your life can't be guaranteed, Deculion's sister says this. Deculion looks at her and asks if she is worrying about him. Deculion's sister gets embraced and says, as if, don't say something so gross. I just can't have you dying on me before I officially get the residing head position from you. Anyways, leave the guard issue to me. I'll commission it to a trustworthy place. The scene shifts, and we can see the order of Freyheim's post, the knights and sparring with each other. Julie is the one who is overseeing Thyr training. The vice-captain of Julie's order is standing afar, and he seems troubled by something. At that time, Veron comes from behind and scared him. Veron asked him what's troubling him. The man tells Veron that there's a commission that's come in for their order. It's a big one, but there's something that bothers his a little, so he don't know whether to accept it or not. Veron suggests him that he should discuss about this with the captain. The man says that it's difficult to tell this to Julie as the commission is to guard Deculane. Hearing this, Veron shakes his anger, he retains his composure and tells the vice-captain to accept the commission. He also tells him that as Deculane will be traveling in train, so to guard him means they have to guard the whole train, which is a difficult task. However, if they complete it successfully, their order's fame will increase instantly. Moreover, this will also help them with finances as they are a private order. The vice-captain is against this due to the relationship between Deculion and Julie. Veron convinces him saying that their captain is not someone who would ever insert her personal emotions into a mission. The vice-captain agrees with him, and he goes to discuss about this with their captain Julie. As he leaves, Veron gives a fearsome look.